All right, guys, here I want you to be recording some notes on this handout that you've got here, the y-intercept. So I'll be going through the ideas you need in order to fill in this sheet. And you'll see the sheet says at the very top, the y-intercept. There's a blank. It says the y-intercept refers to blank. So be ready to fill that in. And the very first idea, what exactly is a y-intercept? Well, it refers to the position on the y-axis through which a line passes. You remember your x-axis, that's your xylophone left and right. Your y-axis is the yo-yo, up and down, right? And here we see we've got a scale. It's telling us each box is worth 1. This is telling us on the y-axis, this 1 here is telling us that each of these boxes is worth 1. So if I look at a line going across my graph and I say to myself, what is the y-intercept on this line? Then all I got to do is figure out where does this line cross over the y-axis. It crosses over right there. That means that my y-intercept is this point right here. And if I want to turn it into a number, I just take the number of the y-coordinate for this point here. The x-coordinate is 0. If I'm going left to right, I didn't go, it's right in the middle. X is 0, y is 2. That means my y-intercept here is 2. Let's do another example here. Let's say I've got this line. Say to myself, where does it cross the y-axis? Right there. And so its y-intercept would be 1, 2, minus 2. Right there. My y-intercept is minus 2. Maybe another example will help out. This thing here, y-intercept, well, it crosses the line at 0? That's right. The y-intercept here is 0. You can have a y-intercept of 0. No problem with that. All right. Now, if you look at a line a little bit further down, all you have to do, same question, even though this is a funny looking line because it's got a slope of 0, it makes it flat. Y-intercept idea is still the same. Where does it cross the y-axis? When y is at minus 5. So my y-intercept is minus 5. The equation of any straight line includes two things. You'd write it like this. Y equals some number, then you write an x, then plus b. So you're writing y equals a coefficient, that we'll figure out what that is in a second, with x plus b. And this first number is one we've been working with a lot lately. And that first number that you always want to write in the equation is just whatever the slope is of your line. That's what A represents. And the B represents the y-intercept, which you just saw what that looked like, right? That's where it crosses over the graph. So if I wanted to find the equation of a line, I just need to figure out what is its slope and what is its y-intercept. Remember how to find the slope? You take 2 points. Any 2 points on the line will do. You say one of them is going to be point number 1, and one of them is going to be point number 2. If I call this point up here point number 2, and this point number 1, then I do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Y-coordinate from point 2 minus y-coordinate from point 1 divided by x-coordinate from point 2 minus x-coordinate from point 1. 5 minus 3 over 3 minus 1 is 2 over 2, which reduces to 1. So that means my slope here is 1, and I can replace my a over here with a 1, right? That's what's happening here. I'm just saying my slope is 1, so I put the 1 right in there. And then the other number I need, that's b, that's just the y-intercept. So look here, what is my y-intercept? It's that thing here, and that number is 2. So I figure out the y-intercept is 2. That means I can go over here to b and replace them with 2, just like that. Okay, now I have an equation for my line. This y equals 1x, I wouldn't actually write the 1. Y equals x plus 2 is the rule that is telling me how to get that line, how to turn this equation into a picture that looks like that. Let's do another example. Let's say I want to find what is the equation of this line here. First I need to get the slope. Let me do the slope. I'll pick these 2 points. I'll say one of them is point number 1, one of them is point number 2, and I calculate the slope by using the rate of change formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Y-coordinate from point 2 minus y-coordinate from point 1. If this is point 2, then this is y2 right here. This is the y-coordinate from point 1, minus 1, minus 2, minus 1, minus 2. That's y2 minus y1. Then I put that over the x-coordinate from point 2 minus the x-coordinate from point 1. The x-coordinate from point 2, which is 4, minus the x-coordinate from point 1, which is minus 2. 4 minus minus 2, that gives me 6. So I had minus 1 minus 2 gives me minus 3. 4 minus minus 2 gives me 6. And minus 3 over 6, that reduces to either minus 1/2 or minus 0.5. And now I have my slope. So once I have this slope, I take that number just as it is, and I drop it right in there. Instead of the a, I'm going to put minus 0.5. Now I got to replace this b with something, right? And remember, b is just the y-intercept, so I find where does the axis cross, where does the line cross the y-axis, and then I replace b with whatever that number is. Since here it crosses the y-axis at 1, and my y-intercept is 1, and my b is going to be 1. So my equation now, y equals slope x plus y-intercept. Y equals minus 0.5 x plus 1, just like that. Now, let's do another example here. I got a line going through. Let's see if I can figure out the slope. I could do 2 coordinates like this and see, all right, I got 2 points. Let me put the y coordinates on top, the x coordinates on the bottom, y2 minus y1. That's going to be minus 2 minus minus 3. That's minus 2 minus minus 3. That goes on the top. And then divided by x2 minus x1. x2 minus x1. 0 minus minus 5. 0 minus minus 5. Minus 2 minus minus 3 gives me positive 1. 0 minus minus 5 gives me positive 5. And 1 over 5 is my slope. Put that right in there. I have 1 over 5 as my slope. The other thing I need, what is the y-intercept? I say to myself, where does the line cross the y-axis? Right here. Good. Then what is that number? Negative 2. My y-intercept is negative 2. That means I can take that negative 2 and I can drop it right in there where the b was. And that's my equation. Y equals 1/5 x plus negative 2. I could even write it like that if I wanted to be fancy and say 1/5 x is the same thing as x over 5. Or I could even write y equals 0.2 x plus negative 2. That would be right as well. Now with this one. Ooh, a tricky one, eh? A flat line. Well, the slope for that, if you remember your slopes, you already remember what the slope of a flat line is. But in case you don't, you could still pick 2 points, do the same thing, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You say, okay, y2 minus y1 is going to be 1 minus 1. And then x2 minus x1 is 5 minus 2. So I have 1 minus 1 over 5 minus 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. 0 divided by 3 is 0. So my slope is 0. I can put that in there for the a. I replace that with a 0. And then I ask myself, where does this line cross the y-axis? Right here, where y is 1. So my y-intercept would be 1. And if my y-intercept is 1, I can take that 1 and I can drop it right in there. That's how you get the equation of a line. Y equals 0x plus 1. I wouldn't even write 0x because 0 times anything is 0. So I could just rewrite this if I want as y equals 1. And that's my answer. Y is 1. That's what the equation of that line is.